Hello, mighty companions. Welcome to the way of mastery. Welcome, mighty companions. Welcome to the way of mastery. It is so good. It is so good to be with you right now, because we always go deep. And I love to go deep with you. And we are going to be talking about living in unobstructed life. We're going to talk about living in unobstructed life. And this is going to be on page 300. Page 300 in the way of knowing. Page 300 in the way of mastery, the way of knowing. Living in unobstructed life. Part 3, the way of knowing. Lesson 25, you remain as you are created to be. And the section is called Living in Unobstructed Life. I'm Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to Facebook Live, and we're going to be doing the way of mastery. And I get really excited every time I have a chance to get into the way of mastery, because we go into a very, very powerful, very, very deep level of consciousness. And I'm so glad that we have each other. And I'm so glad that we can go deep with each other right now. Now remember, you need not accept the ideas. You need not believe the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist, and some of the ideas you will find quite startling. But it's important to realize that you are not being asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. It is their use that will give the ideas meaning to you, and it is their use that will show you that the ideas are true. The way of mastery, living in unobstructed life, on page 300. So let's get started. I'm so glad to see you all here. It is always a pleasure to connect with my mighty companions. So we're going to start with the paragraph on page 300 in the way of mastery, the way of knowing, living in unobstructed life. So, first we're going to read through the paragraph, then we're going to get a deeper meaning of what the paragraph is saying, and then we're going to try to remember it, and then we're going to use it in the way of mastery. And so the very first question that is asked is, how does one live as they abide in true knowledge? Like, how are you going to live when you really have true knowledge? So good to see you, Jim and John and Alita and Demola and Trudy and Greg and all the other mighty companions that are watching right now. We're on page 300. Take a breath. And we're going to talk about living in unobstructed life. I'm going to read the paragraph, and then we're going to go through it. How then does one live as they abide in true knowledge? One could simply answer, any way they want to. For in unobstructed life, you are allowed to inform your choices. So what does that mean? When you live an unobstructed life, there is no longer anything you believe you need when you live an unobstructed life. When you lead an unobstructed life, nothing you believe will add something to you when you live an unobstructed life. For who by taking thought, who by taking action, who by belief in theology has added even 1 inch to their statue. For though the body arises and passes away, though the body arises and passes away as a brief cloud of illusion in the field of creation, you, who you are, remain unobstructed and vast, even though your body may pass away one day. You remain unobstructed and vast. So what else does it say? How can eternity be added unto? You are pure awareness. You are pure awareness. You are pure awareness. And nothing you have ever done, nothing you have ever done has increased you, just as nothing you have ever done has taken anything away. Each moment then, every moment, each moment is perfectly pristine. Each moment is perfectly honest. Each moment is perfectly innocent. Each moment embraced. Each moment allowed without obstruction is the literal and present state of heaven. That is why I, Yeshua, once said, heaven is spread across the face of the earth, yet mankind doesn't see it. Yet it requires heaven to choose to see something else. This is the slippery point. This is the slippery point upon which the way of mastery rests. What is the slippery point upon which the way of mastery rests? Because it requires no effort. The way of knowing is a challenge because the way of knowing requires no effort. The way of knowing requires no effort. You cannot help but be the one. You cannot help but be the one. You could not help but be the one showing up as the dance of a temporary play of energy that appears to be separate from all other plays of energy. You are a dance. The way of mastery says you are a dance. You are a dance. You are a dance of temporary energy. You are a dance of temporary energy, a temporary play of energy. You are a temporary play of energy that appears to be separate from all other plays of energy. We are in the way of mastery. We are not on page 378. That's not the right page number. We are on page 301 in the way of mastery. We're not on page 378. We're talking about pages in the way of mastery. The way of mastery, the way of knowing requires no effort. You cannot help but be the one showing up as the dance. You are the dance of a temporary play of energy that appears to be separate from all other plays of energy. Did you notice that the way of mastery is saying that you are an energy play, yet the sonship is one. The creation is one. Every tree, every drop of rain, every molecule, every thought, every non-thought, these things are the sonship. The sonship, the one creation, is everything. It's not just talking about us. Everything is the one creation. Everything. Isn't it time to awaken? Isn't it time to awaken beyond a particular language that appears only to humanity? Do you know that it is time for you to go beyond the idea of just thinking of yourself as a human? It is time for you to go beyond the perception of yourself as just being a human being. You are more than a man. You are more than a woman. You are more than a man. You are more than a woman. You are more than a man. You are more than a woman. You are more than a man. You are more than a woman. You are more than a human being. It's time for you to go beyond that limited concept of thinking of yourself as just a human being. You are more than a human being. You are an unlimited spiritual being. You are a dance of energy. You are a dance of energy. You are more than just a human being. What is it that you need to remember? It's time for you to remember that your suffering, where has your suffering come from? Where does all suffering come from? Where does all suffering come from? Suffering comes from the illusion that you are separate. Suffering comes from you having the false idea that you are a separate body. Suffering comes from the false idea that you are a separate mind. Suffering comes from the idea that you are a separate body mind. Suffering comes from the belief that you are a separate body mind. You are more than a separate body mind. Suffering comes from the belief that you are just a body. Suffering comes just from the belief that you are a mind, that you are subject to the ravages of time. Suffering comes from your believing that you are subject to the insecurities of the world. Suffering comes from thinking that you are a separate body mind, subject to the ravages of the world, the insecurities of the world, surely to become a victim of death. The whole time that you are imagining yourself to be a body and a mind, the whole time that you are imagining yourself to be just a human being, in reality, what you are the power by which you chose that belief. You are the power that chooses what to believe. You are not your beliefs. 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 You are not what you think. I've heard that saying many, many times. You are what you think. That is not true. You are not what you think. You did not create yourself, so you are not what you think. You are the one who chooses to believe. You are the one that chooses what you want to think. You are the one that chooses. You are the chooser. You are not your thoughts. You are the chooser. You are not your thoughts. You are not your beliefs. You are the chooser. You are the one that chooses what you believe. You are the one that chooses what you think. You are not the chooser. You are the chooser. You are not what you think. You are the chooser. You are not what you think. You are the chooser. You are not what you think. You are the chooser. You are not what you think. You are the chooser and not what you think. You are not what you think. You are the chooser. You are the power by which you choose your beliefs. Does this mean that you can merely say, I'm awake now. I don't need to feel that feeling that's coming up. I'm awake now. So I don't need to feel my feelings that are coming up. Does your being the power, does your being spirit mean that you can just say, I am awake now? I don't need to feel that feeling. No. Being awake doesn't mean that you stuff your feelings. Being awake does not mean that you pretend that you are not feeling what you feel. I'll say it again. Being awake doesn't mean going into denial. It doesn't mean going into suppression. It doesn't mean pretending that you are something that you are not. Being awake means that you know that you are the chooser. You know that you are the one that chooses what you believe, and you're the one that chooses what you think. You are the chooser. I don't care what anybody is presenting to you in the world. I don't care whatever information you are receiving from the world or what you study or what you read. In the end, you are the one that's choosing. You are the power that chooses what you believe. And that doesn't mean that you can just say, according to the way of mastery, it means that you can't just say, I am awake now. I don't need to feel that feeling that's coming up because I'm awake now. So, that's right, Jim. You are the decision maker. Kim, you're right. You're not what you think. You are the chooser. Diana, you're the one that chooses. Demola, you're saying you are part of the mind that chooses between loving thoughts or fearful thoughts. We are the decision maker. You are the decision maker. I'm looking at the comments. I appreciate the comments. Thanks for joining me live. Thanks for being a part of this live broadcast. It feels so good to be doing this and knowing that I'm doing it with my mighty companions. Greg, being awake is being aware. You're absolutely right. That is the truth of who we are. So the truth is that you are loved. So it says in the next paragraph, for love does not resist anything. On page 301, in the way of mastery, the way of knowing, it says love does not resist anything. So love doesn't resist anything. Do you know that love embraces all things? Do you know that love desires all things? Love awakens to the truth that only God is. And God would embrace the totality of his creation. Through you, God would embrace the totality of his creation. Through you, as you, in you, and for himself. For there is no difference between God and you. Do you know that there is no difference between God and you? There is no difference between love and you. You are that one. You are the love. You are God. We are God. All that we see and beyond what we see, all that is God. Wow. You know, it's interesting that that paragraph says love doesn't resist anything. Love embraces all things. Love desires all things. Love awakens to the truth that only God is. There's no difference between God and you. There's no difference between love and you. You are that one. You are love. You are love. So how then does an awakened being live? How do you live when you wake up to the truth? How do you live when you wake up and you realize that you're not what you were taught you were? When you wake up to your spiritual identity and you know that you're more than a man or more than a woman, and you know that you are the chooser, and you know that you're not a victim of the world you see, and you recognize that you are mind, you are consciousness, you are joined with everything that is, and you recognize that everything around you is an illusion, it's just a projection of your mind and consciousness, and that you are not your beliefs and that you are not your thoughts. How do you live when you know that you are only love? How do you live? Well, the way of mastery says, how does an awakened one live? I gave you the answer earlier. An awakened person, an awakened being lives any way that they want to. What? When you wake up, you just live in the way you want to. When you truly wake up, you just live any way you want to. When you wake up to your spiritual identity, when you wake up to your true identity, you live any way you want to. And here now, and I want you to understand, please understand, we come to the essence of what we will be doing in the lessons that follow. We're coming to the very essence of what we're going to be doing in the lessons that follow. For no longer will we live in questions about what we ought to do. No longer will we live in the question, what is it that we ought to do? No longer will I ask you to live in questions about what went wrong. But rather, what I want you to do is I want you to live rather in the purity of the power of the one question that God dwells in constantly. What you must do now is live in this one question. It's time for you to live in this one question. And what is that one question? The one question it's time for you to live in is, what do I want? 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 You have to live in this question. What do you want? 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 It's time to live in the question. What do you want? I'm asking you, what do you want? You have to live in this question now. If you want to live in the way of knowing, if you want to live in the way of certainty that the way of mastery is talking about, you must answer this question. And you must answer this question right now. What do I want? That's the question that I'm asking myself right now. I'm taking some time to really go within more than ever right now so that I can ask that question. And the question I want to ask you is for you to ask yourself, what do I want? I'm asking myself, what do I really want? What do I really want? For here, in perfect surrender is the mind returned to pure desire. So perfect surrender equals pure desire. And pure desire, here in perfect surrender is the mind returned to pure desire. Now, when I talk about your mind being returned to pure desire, I'm not talking about the desire to gain for your little separate self. When we're talking about returning to pure desire, we're not talking about a gain for your separate self. We're not talking about a gain for a separate self. But we're talking about a gain for that which expresses the totality of God. And do you know that expressing the totality of God is expressing the totality of love? In perfect surrender, you want to return to pure desire. And pure desire is a desire to express the totality of God. And to express the totality of God means to express the totality of love. What do I want is the question that God is asking himself as you. When you say, what do I want? That's the same as God saying, what do I want? That's the same as saying the Creator saying, what do I want? Because you are a manifestation of God. 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 So when you say, what do I want? It's God saying, what do I want? When you say, what do I want? It's God saying, what do I want? Jim says the one question by which I am to live is, what do I want? Michelle says, I want health and happiness. Kim says, I want peace, love, and freedom. Demola says, I want the peace of God. Another comment is, I want to live and be happy without seeming lack and struggling to live in this dream world. Greg says, you deserve that, Jim. Kim says, I want the love of God in its totality. Another comment is, pure desire is to express the totality of love in every moment. Another comment, I am a manifestation of God. I will have peace when peace is all I want. What do you want? What do you want? Unless you answer the question, what do you want? Then you have no idea what's happening in your life right now. But what the Way of Mastery just said to us that was kind of mind-boggling is that you saying, what do you want? It's the same as God saying, what does God want? Yes, it does mean you are perfectly free to enjoy the field of desire. I am perfectly free to enjoy the desire field. I am perfectly free to enjoy my desires. You are perfectly free to enjoy the field of desire. Question. Are you capable of knowing what you truly want? Are you capable of knowing what you truly want? Absolutely, you're capable of knowing what you truly want. Once you decide that you are not what you once believed you are, you've got to decide that you are not what you believed you were. You're no longer believing that you are just a separate body out here trying to make it. You got to let go of the idea that you are just a separate self that's out here trying to figure out how to make it. That is not the way of being lives in the way of knowing. So how will you really know what you truly want? Well, you won't really know what you truly want until you decide that you're not what you once believed you were. You're not guilty. You're not separate. You're not lacking. You're more than a body. This requires only the decision. What decision is it? The decision to recognize that nothing can exist except God. You have to make the decision that nothing exists except God. Nothing exists except God. Nothing exists except God. And that, therefore, you are that one. You are divine. You are a divine being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are more than a human being. You are a God being. You are whole and free now. Tell yourself, I am whole and free now. 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 I'm whole and free now. You are whole and free now. Do you know what I love about doing the Way of Mastery? Actually, what I love the most about doing the Way of Mastery is just for a short period of time. We are not focusing in on our day-to-day concerns and cares, because those day-to-day concerns and cares would be automatically taken care of if you remembered you are whole and free, if you remember that you are a manifestation of God, if you were to get clear about what you truly want, and if you were to recognize that you are the chooser, that you are not a victim, then all of the things that concern you would be healed. Those things would be corrected. Those things have not disappeared because you're still thinking of yourself as a separate self on your own, trying to figure out how to make it. But the truth is, you are a manifestation of the one self. You are a manifestation of God. I have often hinted to you as Yeshua that the totality of my life was a journey back to God. And the totality of your life, the totality of your life is a journey back to God. That's the totality of your life. It's a journey back to God. Now, I chose it freely, not because I was separate from God, but because I had already awakened to the truth that what could possibly exist except the love of God? Ask yourself this question right now. Ask yourself this question. What could possibly exist except the love of God? What could possibly exist except the love of God? Ask yourself, what could possibly exist except the love of God? Yeshua says to us, I chose to look upon the body mind. You chose to look upon the body mind. Yeshua says, I chose to look upon the body mind and live only in the question, what do I want? What do you want? What do you want? Well, one thing that Yeshua chose was to demonstrate for us the unreality of death. Jesus, Yeshua, which is the same as Jesus, Yeshua's crucifixion and resurrection was his choice. Jesus chose to go through the crucifixion, and Jesus chose to go through the resurrection in order to demonstrate what? The unreality of death. Jesus went through the crucifixion and the resurrection to demonstrate that death is not real. No one dies. We drop the body. The body is certainly destructible, but you are not destructible. What you really are. So the question I'm going to ask you, mighty companion, the question I'm going to ask you is, what will you choose to demonstrate? What is it that you are going to demonstrate? What is it that you want to demonstrate? What is it that you want to demonstrate of? I'll tell you. What will you choose to demonstrate? 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 One comment is, I am not a victim of this dream world which I think I see. Another comment is, I shared this in my angels group. I am a manifestation of God. What could possibly exist except the love of God? These are comments. What could possibly exist except the love of God? J, Jesus, chose to look at the body mind, and J chose to only live in the question, what do I want? Yeshua chose to go through a lesson to demonstrate for us that death is a joke. These are comments. I'm getting very excited about what you're teaching right now, Raj. I love it. I love it too, Kim. I love to hear these thoughts rather than the old ego thoughts. I'm so glad that we're not a group that gets together to analyze the hell out of everything that we're reading, and that we are focusing on, let's hear the message that Spirit is trying to give us and see if we can answer the questions and practice what it's saying instead of spending the time together analyzing it, trying to figure it all out. He's given us what we're supposed to focus on. What we're supposed to be focusing on right now is the question, what will you choose to demonstrate? And Demola says, I choose to demonstrate the totality of love and peace in the world. For see not in my, this is Yeshua talking, for see not in my demonstration something grand and beyond you, but rather see in the crucifixion and resurrection, rather see that everything you demonstrate is equal to that same power that Jesus demonstrated. Everything you demonstrate is equal to the same power that Yeshua demonstrated in the crucifixion and in the resurrection. For it flows, everything that you demonstrate flows from the same power that Yeshua used. It abides in that power. It manifests that power. What is that power? What is your power? What is our power? It is the living breath and reality of God. It's the living breath. It's the living breath. It is so awesome that you are the living breath. You are the reality of God. Good to see you, Trinity. I'm so happy that you're on the line. And Paris and Jim and Myrna and all of you cool people all over the world. I just want you to let yourself hear this. Therefore, we will continue. We are going to continue these lessons. We will begin to focus attention in the perfect freedom of exploring what is wanted. We're going to focus our attention on focusing on the perfect freedom that you have to explore what you want. You have the perfect freedom to explore what you want. You have the perfect freedom to explore what you want. So what is it that the awakened mind sees? What is it that the awakened mind sees? The awakened mind sees that in truly living in divine selfishness, you have to live in divine selfishness. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean to live in divine selfishness? For the awakened mind sees that in truly living in divine selfishness, you cannot help but dance perfectly. You cannot help but dance perfectly with your brother or sister, regardless of how your brother or sister are choosing to respond to you. When you are an awakened mind, you live in divine selfishness. You can't help but dance perfectly with your brothers and sisters, regardless of how they choose to respond to you. You're going to do the dance perfectly. You're going to do the dance with love. You're going to do the dance with joy. Do you know, 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 it is impossible to be separate from another. It's impossible for you to be separate from me. Do you know that it is impossible for you to be separate from me? Do you know, do you know, do you know, do you know it is impossible to cause another suffering? What? It is impossible to cause another suffering. It's impossible in reality. In reality, it's impossible to cause another suffering. Do you know that in reality, it is impossible not to be one with the one before you? It is impossible for you not to be one with me. It's impossible. It's impossible for me not to be one with you. There is only the dance. There is only the play of creation. There is only the dance. There is only the play of creation. There is only the celebration of God's eternal reality. There is only the celebration of God's or love's eternal reality. There is only the recognition that God is joy and not depression. The Creator is joy and not depression. What? I say, God is joy and not depression. Love is joy and not depression. Don't forget that love God is joy and not depression. So where does all depression come from? Where does depression come from? Do you want to know where depression comes from? Depression comes from resistance. Depression comes from resistance. So if you're feeling depressed, you're feeling resistance. Depression comes from resistance. And resistance is the obstruction of the flow of awareness, the attempt to limit the unlimited. So in truth, do you know that depression is an attempt to limit the unlimited? Depression is just a form of trying to limit yourself. When you're feeling depressed, you're just trying to limit yourself. It is resistance. It is the obstruction of the flow of awareness. Is depression is the obstruction of the flow of awareness. Is depression is the obstruction of the flow of awareness. Is depression. Depression is the attempt. Depression is the attempt to limit the unlimited. I see some more comments, awesome comments. It is impossible for us to be separate from each other. It's impossible to cause another suffering. God is joy and not depression. That's another comment. I dance to the joy of my Creator is another comment. God is joy and not depression. Therefore, I am joy, God's joy. God cannot be less than love, for that would be fear. That is true. Here's another comment. God is only joy and love, and not the D word in which we so believe. Depression is an attempt to limit the unlimited, God being that we truly are and will never succeed. So we're on page 302 in The Way of Mastery, The Way of Knowing. The Way of Mastery and the Way of Knowing. The mind that allows all things, 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 the mind that trusts all things, the mind that embraces all things, is all things. So, do you know that the mind that allows all things, trusts all things, and embraces all things, is all things? And though you will seem to live, when you are awake, how do you live in an unobstructed life? Though you will seem to live, yet you will not live. What does that mean? It means that it is God alone. When you wake up to your true identity, you will recognize that God is living as you. Say that to yourself. God is living as me. 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 God is living as you. God is living as you. You are God. We are God. All that is God. And you are God living as you. You are free. You are free. Say it to yourself. I am free. Say it. I am free. I am free. Say it to yourself. I am free. I am free. You are vast. You are vast. You are vast. Say it to yourself. I am vast. I am vast. You are without birth and without death. You are without birth and without death. I am without birth and without death. I am without birth and without death. I am without birth. I am without death. I am without birth and without death. You are as I am. You are the awakened one. You are the awakened one. You are the awakened one. You are the anointed. You are the anointed. You are the Messiah. We are the anointed ones. We are the Messiahs. We are the awakened ones. Do you know that you are the gentle touch of love? You are the gentle touch of love. You are the gentle touch of love in a temporary illusion. You are the gentle touch of love in a temporary illusion. This is a temporary illusion. You are the touch of love in a temporary illusion. But do you know what you are doing? You are attempting to be other than love. You are really only love. But sometimes you think you are fearful. Sometimes you think you are angry, guilty, separate, a body. But the truth is, you are a gentle touch of love. You are a gentle touch of love in a temporary illusion, attempting to be other than love. And why not? Why not? Why not? It is all a simple game. Do you know that it is all a simple game? What you're looking at is a very elaborate, simple game. This is an innocent illusion. This is an innocent illusion. This is an innocent illusion. It is a simple game. It is an innocent illusion. It is a very simple game. Comments. Jim says, I am free. I am vast. Kim says, I am the awakened one, the Messiah. We all are. I am without birth and without death. Yes, yes, yes. I am the gentle touch of love, and so are my mighty companions and our juicy teacher, Brother Raj. Thank you. Greg says, if not us, then who shall God send? Here we are, God. Send us. Wow, 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 wow. Talk that cool stuff, Raj. You are on fire. I can't help but be on fire. There's nothing on the face of this earth that I enjoy more than being a vessel for God, a conduit of love and truth. I've had power. I've had money. I've had physical pleasure. I've had a lot of specialness in my life. And none of it compares to being a conduit, a vessel for love and God to bring light into this world. I'm not putting down material things. I want the best that this world has to offer on every level. I want it all. But that doesn't mean anything next to the joy and the fulfillment that I feel to be a vehicle and a vessel for love to come through me to you. That's my greatest joy. So therefore, we will end this lesson with one question that we ask you to live within. We're going to end this lesson with one question that we ask you to live within. Beloved friend, O Holy One, what do you want? What do you want? The whole session tonight is about you really bringing that question to awareness. What do you want? What do you truly, truly want? And in that wanting, and is your wanting, is that wanting generated by the freedom of love? Or is your wanting generated by the ridiculous creation of a useless fear? Are your wants just based on the idea that you have some lack that you think that you need to have filled? Or is your wanting being generated by the freedom of love? Or is your wanting and desiring rooted in a sense of, I think I'm missing something, I'm lacking something? Want only from freedom. When you desire something, desire it from a place of freedom, and you will have your desire. Not when your desire is coming from a place of fear, because whatever you are asking for in fear is really not something you really want. So whatever you're asking for in fear is not something that you really want. Want only from freedom. Desire only from love. And you will have what you desire. That's right, Patricia. True that. Conduit for love. And with that, beloved friends, beloved mighty companions, I want peace to be to you. I want peace to be to you. We are most certainly going to enjoy being with you. The visible and invisible masters and our visible and invisible brothers and sisters are going to enjoy being with you. So we're going to go then in peace. We're going to go in peace. Amen. Amen. So we're going to do a quick review in just a minute over what the main points were that I made in tonight's lesson. I'm a full-time teacher. This is what I do in the world. I do it and share it, and I would appreciate a financial expression of appreciation. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy.com. I really love you, and I want us to get past our blocks together. So if you have any issues, anything that's causing you pain, some pattern you know you need to let go of, and you're really, really ready to go to the next level of love and happiness and joy in your life, then have a clarity session with me. I do personal one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions. I've been doing them for 3 decades. Let me work with you. It's time for you to have peace. It's time for you to have peace. It's time for you to have love. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it explains in detail the services that I offer, and you can self-book right on my website. Also, I want to invite you to go to my website. There are links on the page, and sign up for my contact list so you can be the first to know about workshops and other private classes and groups that I'm going to be doing. I want to know who wants to go deeper with me on this path. On Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do hardcore Course in Miracles for Course in Miracles students that are studying a Course in Miracles. It's called Hardcore Course in Miracles, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook Live, on my page, the Earl Purdy page. That's where you watch all of my live presentations. Please share this video on your timeline. Take a moment to share this video. Please, let's spread the word. I need your help to do that. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I do a Course in Miracles class before a live audience here in Denver, and I also stream it on Facebook Live. Want to invite you. You don't have to be a member of Facebook in order to watch my live videos. You just go to www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. Just go to that link, whether you're a member of Facebook or not, and you can watch my live broadcast. So, let's do a quick review. I am excited about this. It has me, and I love all the incredible comments that you all have made. And I've highlighted what are the instructions. So I'm going to go over that now. You ready? Here we go. So how do you live in true knowledge? How do you abide in true knowledge? Any way you want to. An unobstructed life is when you recognize that you are allowed to inform your choices. There is no longer anything you believe you need when you are living from an awakened space. When you're living from an awakened space, do you know that nothing you believe will add something to you because you are whole and complete? Each moment embraced, each moment allowed, without obstruction, is the literal and present state of heaven. If you were to embrace this moment, if you were to embrace this moment, if you were to allow this moment without obstruction, you would experience the present state of heaven. The way of knowing, it is slippery because the way of knowing requires no effort, and you are used to trying to put up and put out a lot of effort. But the way of knowing requires no effort. You are a dance. You are a dance of temporary. You are a temporary play of energy that appears to be separate from all other plays of energy. Isn't it time to wake up beyond a particular language that speaks only to humanity? Isn't it time for you to go beyond just your human identity and know who you really are? Remember where your suffering has come from. Your suffering has come from the illusion that you are a separate body mind, that you are subject to the ravages of time, that you are subject to the insecurities of the world, and that you could become a victim of death. If you believe that, that causes all suffering. But the truth is, you are the power by which you choose your beliefs. You are the power. You are the power. You are the power by which you choose your beliefs. Does this mean that you can say, I don't need to feel my feelings because I'm awake now? I don't need to feel my feelings because I'm awake now. No, not at all. You got to embrace all your feelings. You got to own up to all your feelings, because don't ever forget that you have to recognize how an awakened one lives. And how does an awakened one lives? Any way they want to. Understand that. When you wake up, you just live any way you want to. No longer will you live in questions about what you ought to be doing. Stop living in questions about what you ought to do. I just want you to live in a question. Every day, live in this question. Live in this question. What do I want? What do I want? Not what do I want. Not what my sisters want, what my brothers want for me, what my mother wants for me, what my children want of me, what my lovers want of me, what my co-workers want of me. The question you want to live in is, what do I want? What do I want? So here in perfect surrender, your mind is returned to pure desire in perfect surrender. And this pure desire is not about gaining for your separate self. The pure desire is a desire to express the totality of God. I have a desire to express the totality of God. You have a desire to express the totality of God. What do I want? Is the question that God is asking himself as you. God is asking that question as you. What do I want? Are you capable of knowing what you truly want? You are very capable of knowing what you truly want, but you have to decide you are not what you once believed you were. You are not guilty. You are not bad. You are not separate. If you want to know what you truly want, you must recognize that there is nothing that exists except God. God is the only thing that exists, and you are God. You are God, and so is everything you see and everything you can imagine. You are whole and you are free now. So ask yourself this question. What could possibly exist except the love of God? Jesus told us, I chose to look upon the body mind. I chose to live only in the question, what do I want? And Jesus said, I also chose to demonstrate the unreality of death. So the question I want to ask you, mighty companion, is what will you choose to demonstrate? You have equal power to Jesus. Jesus said that in the Bible, and Jesus says that in the Way of Mastery, that we are all equal. We all are equal in power because we are all equal creations of God. So what do you want to focus on? You want to focus your attention in the perfect freedom. You want to focus your attention in the perfect freedom you have to explore what you want. You have the perfect freedom to explore what you want. Also, I want you to live in divine selfishness, which means that you are going to dance perfectly with everybody in your life, and you're going to do it a dance of love, a dance of joy, regardless of how other people are choosing to respond to you. Do you know that all depression comes from resistance? All depression comes from obstruction of the flow of your awareness. Do you know that depression comes from the attempt to limit the unlimited? And you are the unlimited. So, beloved friend, I'm going to ask you one more time, mighty companion. What do you want? And is that wanting being generated from freedom and from love? Or is your desiring being demonstrated from a place of fear and lack and thinking that you're not enough and you don't have enough? Are you asking out of fear and desperation? Or are you asking out of a feeling of freedom and love? So want only from freedom and you will have your desire. Want things only from a place of inner freedom and you will have your desire. What does it take to have your desire? What does it take to have your desire? You must desire only from a place of freedom, knowing that you are free and you will have your desire. So I want peace to be with you. You are my beloved friend, and I want peace to be with you. And we are all your mighty companions, and we are most certainly going to enjoy being with you. So go then, my mighty, wonderful, beautiful companion. I want you to go then in peace. Amen. I love you. I appreciate you. And may the course be with you. May the way of mastery be with you. I want you to live in unobstructed life. You are free. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I love you.